Live from the Grove in New Haven, this is Where We Live. I'm John Dankosky. Now, coming up on tomorrow's show, we're going to be talking about Newtown. PBS is airing a special coverage of the December 14th tragedy in Newtown, including a frontline episode produced in collaboration with the Hartford Courant. We'll be talking about that series. We're talking with some reporters from the Courant and WNPR about how first responders are coping and also about the outpouring of sympathy that has been coming in from around the world. That's tomorrow's show, Where We Live. I also should let you know that just around the corner, or just across the street from this space, at Art Space here in New Haven, the Colin McEnroe Show is going to be doing a very special The Nose Comes to New Haven. So he'll be broadcasting from this very same neighborhood of the Ninth Square coming up tomorrow at 1 o'clock on the Colin McEnroe Show. Today we're talking about the innovation ecosystem, the hub that is the Grove, and soon to come the Grid just around the corner here. A whole bunch of startup businesses with a whole bunch of resources for those folks, all centered around this co-working space that we featured in the program before. The co-founder of the Grove, Slate Ballard, is here, as is Derek Koch, who's manager of the Grid, the innovation ecosystem hub in the New Haven area. John Cipher, head of the CEO Boot Camp and also president of the Angel Investor Forum, joins us as well. I'm going to be talking about some of the funding in just a moment. We're going to take some questions and thoughts from the audience, but I just have to say something here. We have a nice audience, maybe about 30 people or so crammed into this nice space. There's a lot of guys here. And, and it's just something I've noticed. Do we have a real good, solid group of female entrepreneurs and startup businesses in New Haven?
I think we do for sure. Yep. And I think the Grove at times can be filled with women or it can be filled with men. It all depends. In the early days, we definitely had more men than women, and now we've diversified in a much bigger way.
I only ask just because sometimes we've heard in the past, women's startup businesses, it's hard for any startup business, but are there any specific needs or anything that you've identified, Derek, along the way?
I mean, I think there are a different set of challenges for women starting a business than there are men. I mean, I think that's something that our nation and maybe the world is struggling with a bit in terms of representation in the startup community. However, one of the things that we're really excited about with the Innovation Hub coming to New Haven and creating it here is really outreach and bringing more people who could be entrepreneurs, who need help and support into the process. And so I think we're humble about kind of what we've done so far and what we need to do in the future, and the type of outreach we need to do to bring a really truly representative group together. That's what I would say.
Well, we've got a bunch of people here in our audience who are part of the startup culture, part of the Grove environment. Hi, what's your name? What's your business?
Hi, my name is Alex Azarowicz. I'm a senior at Quinnipiac University and recently launched a company called Giraffe Design. And recently benefited from a business plan competition in New Haven, similar to Startup Weekend, but not quite as in-depth with the whole weekend, but started with a written business plan, ended with an oral presentation. My partner and I were the winners of that a couple months ago. Excited to work with some new brands in the New England area and meet with some VCs.
What does Giraffe Design do?
Giraffe Design, we develop reusable packaging concepts for product-based brands. We help them integrate this kind of news story through social media platforms.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us. I know some other people want to join us here. Who wants the microphone next? Who do we want to hear from? Hi, what's your name and what's your business?
Hi, John. Thanks for having us. My name is Doug Houselayton. I'm the alderman here in Ward 7 in downtown New Haven. Also a founder of ActualFood.com, a food tech business dedicated to making healthy and affordable groceries accessible for everyone. One of our biggest challenges has been recruiting development talent. And I was wondering if you could speak to the efforts of the Grid New Haven in that aspect of recruiting good, talented developers to New Haven.
A very good question. Derek, I'll go to you first.
I guess that's for me. Yeah, one of our Grid programs that I think is really exciting, it actually ties the two last speakers together, is A100. It's a technology apprenticeship program. So we're basically, the proposition is getting University CS students startup ready, which means getting computer science students ready to actually work for a startup, produce code, help someone like Doug take a step further in their business, maybe hire that person permanently. It's a really exciting program, and it also brings us more onto college campuses in our area. We have quite a few, about 7 in our greater New Haven, Middlesex area. So it's a tremendous asset getting on campus, starting to work with students, because there are a lot of people who have great ideas and aren't necessarily in the Ninth Square, aren't necessarily part of the Grove today, but could be. So it's a great part of our outreach, and also hits a key obstacle in the venture formation process, finding software development talent. That's a problem that pretty much everyone in the country has at this point.
Now, John Seifer, you were mentioning offline that, again, as we think about this innovation ecosystem idea and these hubs that are around the state, there are 4 of them. This is going to be the center of one, but the New Haven area is more than just this one little neighborhood, and it's more than just New Haven. I think that's an important thing for people to understand, is that these innovation hubs are really about a more regional approach. I wonder if you can talk about that, about how this might draw people from the surrounding community, so that they're not just thinking about, I want to have a nice apartment in the 9th Square and have everything, have this different sort of life. You can actually still be part of the Hamden community and be part of this hub.
Right. When the governor signed the bill that put this ecosystem in place, the idea was to have these hubs that would cover the whole state, basically. So if somebody wants to just go to the website, which is ctnext.com, and they can sign up as an entrepreneur, they can sign up as a mentor, they can sign up as a service provider. If they don't pick one of the hubs, they'll be assigned based on zip code. So the grid actually encompasses New Haven and Middlesex County. But there's collaboration amongst the hubs, so that if there's a particular need, a particular mentor, whatever, that's in a different hub, Connecticut being such a small state, you can certainly avail yourself of those kinds of things. But we, in the grid, is kind of centered here in the Grove space, but we reach out. Last Friday I was in a meeting in Deep River where they have an incubator that I had never met before, so I started meeting some of the entrepreneurs out there. We were also up in Waterbury talking to some people up there, so we're really trying to cover the whole Middlesex, New Haven County area.
As we, and hopefully we'll get some more questions. We'll get a microphone over there. Before we get to that, John, talk a little bit more about the funding. We talked a bit about angel investing. It's something we've featured on the program before, and you talked about the types of investors who get involved. But what sort of ideas interest you? I mean, we talk about tech being very, very important, but tech is a very broad thing. I guess I'm wondering if there's a specific class of ideas right now that are drawing angel investor funding from around the state.
The biggest thing with any kind of investment is investors want to get their money back, believe it or not. And so
I'm shocked to hear that.
Right. And in a sense, the press does us a disservice by promoting the fundability of some companies and the scalability of some companies. There's about 500,000 companies a year get started in America. Venture capitalists fund about 3,000 only of those. Angel investors maybe about 50,000. So there's a huge number where that kind of funding is not right for them. And there are other opportunities for funding, from bank funding to just grubbing into your pockets and putting your house on the line, to royalty financing. So I want to encourage entrepreneurs not to always look for funding as if that's the goal.
Yeah.
Funding just gets you started. But take your idea, prove it with the customers. The best funds actually come from customers. Angel investors are looking for companies that can scale very quickly, very fast, very big, and get either acquired or go IPO to get our money back. And there's a very small percentage, a very important percentage, because a lot of the jobs come from that kind of growth.
So, and outside of the investor world, Derek, I mean, how is money these days for the startup businesses? I mean, we've been through this financial collapse and ruin. It seems as though in certain ways it might be easier once again to get money. Other people say money's not anywhere near as easy to come by as it used to be. So what's the world out there for the startup business?
I think it's easy to find money if you find it. And it's hard to find money if you don't find it. If that makes any sense at all.
That's very zen.
I do meditate. I've been around startups for quite a while, and it is true that it's always been true that some people say it's easy to find money, some people say it's really hard to find money. And I think it is hard to find money right now. But one of the programs that we have in the hub is actually that the state's put at our disposal is this innovation voucher program. So as John said, getting angel money, getting BC money requires proving out your idea, proving out your concept, which means you have to start somewhere. You might have to take money out of your pocket to build a prototype. The innovation vouchers actually solve a little bit of that problem for the entrepreneur in the capital area. So the vouchers are up to about $10,000, and they put some financing in the hands of an entrepreneur to test out an idea. They're specifically grants for R&D. The entrepreneur needs to bring a service provider to the table, and if they don't have one, we can help them with an introduction. But it really does address that very early stage R&D focused spend that the entrepreneur needs to make in order to convince somebody like John that they're not just somebody with an idea on paper and they can talk about it, but they don't have any results.
I want to get back to the audience here. Hi, what's your name and what's your business?
Hey, John. My name's Tim Hollahan. I have a web-based software business, Broadstripes.com, aimed at labor unions and nonprofits. And it's been very exciting to launch a business in my hometown of New Haven. When I graduated college here in 1992, this area was a wasteland. And I wanted to mention that the physical infrastructure that we now all enjoy here is a result of 20 years of investment by government and private sector in the Knight Square project, something to the tune of something like $87 million. So it's, and my memory of the 90s is that when that money started to pour in, a lot of people questioned whether it was going to bear fruit. And in the software community, we have a philosophy of fail early. If it's not working, pivot or change it or give up. But if the Knight Square project had done that, we might not be sitting here today.
And you're making a case for the physical infrastructure, the space where we are, how it feels and looks and is to be here. It's something we talk about in our program all the time, but you cannot discount this. This is a very important thing.
Absolutely, and I guess I wanted to tie that into this next step that Derek is leading, and I see Casey here from the state. I think it's important to recognize this is a government and private sector initiative. I don't understand fully how that relationship works. I'd like to hear more about it.
That'd be great, yeah, please.
Well, the first thing I have to mention is that Tim's an example of entrepreneurs leading the process. So Tim and Miles Lassiter and a few others have pulled together a founders lunch that they do on a regular basis that brings together people who are starting companies, people who want to start companies, and it provides a forum for talking about, do we need to have a makerspace in New Haven? Do we need to do something new? What are the challenges? What are the needs? And it's really a really important part of the process. I guess I would say that's crucial, and it's in terms of the grid, but also the innovation ecosystem that Casey Pickett, who's here, has been really driving for quite some time. It's an important design attribute that entrepreneurs lead the process. You brought up, fail fast, learn from your mistakes. And with entrepreneurs leading the process and the state and the city partnering with us, we get some of that ability to pivot and learn from our mistakes, see what's not working. But it only happens when entrepreneurs step forward and do things like the Founders Lunch that you guys do in New Haven. So it's awesome that you're taking that role in the community.
I just want to get one more voice from the audience. Hi, sir. What's your name? What's your business?
My name is Hashim Allah. I'm the founder of Hala Edutainment. So my question, I guess, go back to, once again, investment. I called in and a person invited me down for the show. As a minority business person, we've actually experienced success more rapidly than I expected. We are a curriculum provider and youth service provider. And the success now has gotten to a point where it's outgrown us. So as a minority person, I really got to ask this question: would it be more optimal for me to hire a person looks paler than me as my front person to go after some of these funds? I mean, our program has grown where we have now provide after school and have morphed into day school programming.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that question, because that's a huge, big question with about a minute left in the program. Go ahead, John. I'll let you tackle that because we don't have very much time.
The answer is it doesn't matter. If you have an idea that's getting traction with customers, if you can show a business model that's scalable, we're open to anything.
And obviously, one of the nice things about doing this live at the Grove is there's going to be a chance for a lot more conversation after this conversation. I want to congratulate the folks at the Grove for all the good work and this announcement that's coming up on Monday. I know that we're going to put some information on our website. There's more things that are happening later on in the day as well, which we'll put up on our website as well. John Seifer, you just heard from, head of CEO Bootcamp, president of the Angel Investor Forum. Thank you so much. Derek Koch, manager of the Grid. Slate Ballard, co-founder of the Grove. I want to thank our team here, Mary Corsi, who helped us out today. Brianna Gross and Rusty Fisher, who are our interns, Patrick Scahill, Heather Brandon, Eugene Amatruda, Tucker Ives, and Katie Tolarski all produced the show live from the Grove in New Haven. This is where we live.